and you see in the now.
Yeah.
Like that when you hear people talking about be here now and be in the now. And really, we have a concept of that in our minds of, in time is the illusion, right? Analogous time. But if you see the now is spiritual, if you see the now is when you're residing more in your true self, then that leads to you not getting caught up in that false reality, which is really what the past and the future are. They're a false reality because they really don't exist in this moment. And the power of learning to be in the now is, to me, that was how that beautiful experience, because here you are in your home with me and in our family, and but you're living back in that other world, and the gift of seeing that, having that insight brought you into the now.
Yeah.
And allowed you to be present with what life is bringing you right now. And to me, that is so powerful, because being present, it answers to so many things in our life, like in relationships and just how we function. Like yesterday when I was talking about when my mind started getting quieter and quieter, and I noticed my work seemed to be doing itself, and it hit me one day, well, no wonder everything's easier, is because all that thought that was going on was preventing me from being able to be present and functioning. And I know there's, all of us still have a certain amount that's going on in there all the time, right? And we don't have to worry about how to clear it, because that's not the way it works. When you're thinking about how to clear it, what are you doing? You're adding more thought. And again, trusting that just going back to that quiet mind will bring everything. It will bring all the health. It'll bring your dreams. It'll bring health in your relationships. Just trusting in that and is just the most powerful thing. And we don't have to try. Like I had someone ask me the other day about how can I know what's going on in the background. He said, because I know things are going on in the background that are influencing my everything that's going on in my life. And so he wanted to know how to not be overlooking things that might be sabotaging, right? So it was almost like, how can I know how to get rid of those, what those thoughts are that are getting in the way? And I was just saying, no, that's not how it works. We don't know how to figure that out, but just trusting that you're already home and healthy, and that no matter how distracted your thoughts are, or whether you think there's subconscious thoughts that are running things that you're not aware of, just don't worry about it. And I think a lot of us do that. They think, well, I want to know what I'm doing to sabotage myself. But the fact is, on a universal level, we do know, but we don't have to know how personally we're doing it. We just have to know that the way it works, and the way the three principles work, is that we're operating according to those three principles, but we don't have to know our personal details of how they're working in us. All we need to do is just keep developing that understanding of what they are. There's no scary things that we have to find.
No. I like that. There's no scary things we have to find. It's funny, I lived most of my life thinking there was something scary I had to find. I don't know what it was, but.
Yeah, and I love that. The reason I shared that is because over the years, we've had literally thousands of people ask us these questions. And it's so beautiful to be able to share what we've heard our universal concerns and
Yeah.
and put everybody's mind at rest as much as we can, because I appreciate that so much. When I keep hearing that I don't have to be worried about things, I don't have to, like you said, be insecure, that it's okay, I'm okay. And so I know that everybody loves that comfort of knowing that.
It's just too simple. You know, it really is.
But again, as Chip said, it's on this call, we truly realize that there are all these amazing people that have this understanding already. And that's why, and we will open it up a little bit later to
Yeah, we
hear
will.
more from people. But the fact that we're sharing what from our understanding, but knowing that all of you are sharing it in your work or just being yourselves, like it's that, and the feeling of all of us coming together with this feeling of agreement about something that's deeper than personal opinions or personal experience. It's deeper than that. We share this sense that of the big picture of the principles, that we just get to enjoy it. We get to have the joy of being able to have a nicer life, and then in turn be able to pass that on to other people. But the feeling of us all coming together in that knowledge of who we all are isn't just these little individual people on the screen there. Like when you were talking about that we're conscious and that we're having this human experience together, knowing that it's deeper than that, it's a spiritual experience. To me, there's so much power in that. There's so much power, and you have no idea, any of us, the results of this, everybody getting together from all over with this understanding. I mean, as we said from the beginning, we saw the power of watching one person and a handful of people, and then years later, without knowing how, but seeing it all over the world and touching lives and changing lives in a way that it's not on the news, it's not in the media, but we have no idea how much it's changed the world and how different the world would be if Sid hadn't come along.
Yeah, sometimes people say, well, you talk about Sid too much, but hey, it's where it started. And we're not talking about him as a person. We're talking about something that came through him. On the other hand, because he was willing to share it, I'll always be grateful to he and Barb and he and Judy, his wife now, for being willing to dedicate their lives to sharing it. You know, I mean, I think he could have just gone off and just enjoyed his roses and he had a nice life, but he was committed to relieving human suffering and left us this incredible legacy of his materials so that we can continue to grow and change. And you know, I went through a period, I'll be perfectly honest, of thinking how it might get lost, and you know, I had my judgment about whether something was too commercial or too intellectual and all this kind of stuff. And I eventually began to say that that's just in my head, you know. The power of this is way beyond anything else, no matter what we're all doing with it, right? The principles can take care of themselves. I think my good friend, a good friend said that to me, the principles can take care of themselves, right? And so going forward, the fact that those legacy materials exist is the guarantee, because all of us will get a little lost from it now and then. I know I have, for sure. I know I've intellectualized it. I know I've done this, I've done that. But the fact that those original materials are available to all of us and to generations going forward. That guarantees that somebody who's never heard of this 50 or 100 years from now, can have that incredible experience of hearing directly from somebody speaking from that profound state. Now, to me, that's really amazing. And I may be thinking, I suppose, visions of grandeur or whatever, but throughout history, great people, Abraham, Buddha, Christ, we only know what people said they said, what other people said they spoke of, right? And some of it's probably quite accurate, and some of it probably isn't. Historically speaking, the fact that those materials are available directly from the person who had the insight is something different. It really is powerful. It really is profound. And it guarantees that this will go forward continually in a pure state, no matter what the rest of us do with it,
Mhm.
And I love that thought. I think, I won't be on the planet a whole lot longer, but, maybe 100 years from now, a young person will take up this little recording and go, oh, and just be hit so hard, so beautifully, and so deeply that it will continue. It absolutely will continue. Sid made sure of that throughout his life by making sure those recordings were made and those books were written. And I love the way Sid talks about his books and his recordings. It's like, talks about those books. It's like somebody else wrote them, right? And I love that. I mean, that's the way he saw it. It was something that came through him. Yeah, those books, those recordings, those tapes. And it tickles me, that he saw that so innocently and so lovingly that they just came, They happened to come through him, but he did. They just came. So here we are, almost 50 years later. This beautiful group of people. So much wisdom. To be honest, I felt a little embarrassed to try to say anything to such incredibly loving, wise group of people. But what the heck? That's why we're here. And then you guys spoke up, and that was like, wow, In this moment, right now, everybody, all of us in this moment, doesn't matter where we've been or what we've done or how we feel privately and personally before this moment. In this moment, all of us have absolutely everything we need. Absolutely everything. Because that true self, that greater self, it's nothing to do with our personal self, is with us. And we're part of it. So we absolutely have everything we need. And I just hope in my life I realize that more and more and learn it more and more. Because it makes for a really beautiful life.
I love that the more you are grateful for your life and what you have, the more you automatically have that feeling of love, which in turn helps other people have that nicer life. I remember in the beginning, Sid would talk about both selfish in the beginning because he could see we were so worn out from worrying about our life and what would become of us. And he said, just take care of yourself and don't worry about the world and helping the world. You just take care of yourself. And he would say, he used the word selfish, but I kind of misinterpreted that then, because I thought, well, that's a bad thing. And it did feel odd to be focusing on myself after thinking, well, I've got to save the world. But honestly, what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift, because then I wasn't part of the problem. I was part of the solution. I was automatically impacting other people's lives by just being in that feeling.
I love that silence we had together. That's going home together, you know. It's the melting of separate realities. I love that. And I love what Jan's saying too, because I'm going to put you all on a brief holiday while we have a break by telling you this, right? A few times, as we knew Sid, he would do this certain thing, right? I'll just talk about one time in particular where he knew we were kind of caught up in something, right? Going through stuff. He calls us up and says, come on over. So we thought, oh, we're going to go over and Sid's going to help us. He's going to teach us something, right? So we go over to his house and he's got 2 lawn chairs with blankets on them outside, looking towards the sea. He said, sit on those chairs. Oh, okay. Sid's going to talk to us here. You know, that's really nice. You know, he disappears into the house. And he and Barb come up with a plate of fruit and some fresh water and some juice and everything. And they put it on the table between us and they just disappear. Just relax, you know, just relax. Just be yourself, be present. It's so beautiful. And there's other people on this call that I know he did similar things with, you know, like how simple is that teaching? Like just relax, just take a break, you know, have a mental holiday. Wow.